we came here today because we care about you and because we want you to be educated and aware about some serious problems and some serious issues going on in our district. So often people ask me if we have a drug problem in our community. And the short answer very often is yes. When you consider that over 500 people in Allegheny County died of a drug overdose last year, it makes for a very serious and somber issue that we have to deal with and address. And part of doing that is bringing about education and awareness to you, this 9th and 10th grade class. So that's why it's so important that we have your undivided attention. Because at the end of the day, this is about you. It's about what you've been taught by your families. I have my own children, and I know what I've taught them. As a former coach of both baseball and football, just the way I taught my players, I bring about that presentation to you here today to discover and learn about the adverse effects of drugs, of choices that you make. Because the choices that you make from here on out, and you all in this room know the difference between right and wrong. It's the choices that you make and the focus that you bring about in your studies, on sports fields, in the band, in the theater, whatever it is that you choose to do with your extra time to make you a better person, to learn, to adjust your behaviors, to become mature adults. And that's what you're preparing yourself for, your future. You're preparing yourself for your very own future, to meet your goals and objectives in life. And the choices you make, the things that you do today, tomorrow, and moving forward in the future will dictate where you're going to be in 5, 10 years. And that's kind of what you have to start to think about, your very own future. And it's important those choices that you make are good choices. And I have what I always like to call the 2-second rule. And this deals with any choices you make in life, including social media, which is so, readily available and so widely used by all of you. Take the extra 2 seconds and make the right and good choice with regard to anything that you do in your life. The people you hang around, because those are important choices too. One of the sayings that I like to talk about in my court, and it's simplified right down to this: if you hang around with idiots, what are you? An idiot. Pretty simple, pretty basic, but it works because it makes you think. And that's all I'm asking you here today, to focus and think and engage yourself about everything that you hear today. And be a leader, not a follower. Like I said, whether it be academics, and that's what you're in this institution for, to learn, to prepare your mind for the future. And we're lucky in this demographic. We're lucky we have great families, great leaders and businesses. We have people to tap into, like our teachers, our administrators, our chief, the police, our senators, our community leaders, and people that have been there and done it. That's what we're going to present here to you today. So again, I'd like your undivided attention. I know sometimes it's a little hard for you guys to focus, as it is for any one of us. But I believe that this subject matter is critically and without question one of the most important things in your lives, because this is about responsibility and accountability. And so I would not be here today if I didn't care about you guys and want to see you succeed. Now, inevitably, some of you either have been before me or are going to come before me. And you'll find that I'm fair, but I can be tough. But at the end of the day, I really, truly, genuinely care about you, your future, and the success and the path that you decide to draw for yourself, because it is your choice. That path is your choice. I did want to mention Donna Matty. Hi, Donna. Say hi to Donna. Donna, Donna, unlike many professionals and people in our communities, came to me not very long ago and asked how she could help. She's a former pharmacist and a professional writer, and somebody that I have a lot of respect for, coming to me and asking how she can help, because she realizes what an epidemic that we're dealing with here with this drug problem. And so many people like Donna that are professionals and that have been there and seen it and done it are wanting and willing to help. And so I commend you, Donna, for that, and thank you, and so many in our community that want to do that and want to help. Thank you. So, without further ado, I could tell you so many war stories about, you know, what goes on in my court, the things I've seen as a parent, as a coach, as a special agent, as a judge. But we're limited on time. What we're going to do is we're going to, again, I'll talk to you a little bit about this issue and what we're trying to do. The Senator Guy Reschenthaler, Jody Sherman, and Gino Johnson are all going to give you a little piece of their experience and what went on. And it's all very, very important. But, you know, this gentleman right here, our senator, he and I have been very good friends for a long time. And he was a former district judge and now a senator. And he is going to talk about some things that he's working on. He's on the front lines of this fight as well. And he has a lot of good information to provide to you. I hope that, again, you'll learn something out of this and have a good takeaway. We are going to try to have a little bit of Q&A at the end, so think about maybe some questions you might have. And always remember this, your teachers, the administrators, your counselors, myself, the senator, everybody here, we're wanting and willing to help. If you're in a place in your life where you need that, that's what we're here for. Don't make the wrong choice, make the right one. Without further ado, our senator from this district, Senator Guy Reschenthaler.
Thanks, Judge. I really appreciate it. Well, as Judge Arnone said, this topic is very, very important. When I was in the Navy, I was a prosecutor and defense attorney, and I can tell you that I saw so many careers of young sailors and Marines just get destroyed because of abuse of drugs and alcohol. And when I got out of the Navy, I was talking to a local district judge, and I asked him, I said, what's the #1 problem facing our youth today? And he said heroin. He did not even hesitate. And when I took the bench, I can tell you that almost everyone that came before me who had a problem with theft or with domestic violence even, at the root cause of that oftentimes was abuse of drugs and alcohol. And prescription drug abuse is just rampant in communities all across Pennsylvania. So in the Senate, a lot of people ask me, what are you doing to combat the opioid epidemic and drug abuse and alcohol abuse? And that's a tough question. We're taking action, but at the end of the day, it's very hard to legislate morality and behavior. So what we have to do is we have to just make sure that the public is informed of the dangers of drug and alcohol abuse. So that's really why I'm here today. But if you look at legislation, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get more education to those who prescribe prescription pain drugs. We're trying to look at alternative sources of pain management. And we're really trying to change the way we handle the criminal justice system. So if somebody comes into the criminal justice system and they have an addiction or they're struggling with alcoholism, that we get that person help rather than just throwing them in a jail cell. So that's one thing that we're really looking at. So I'm really happy to be here today, and I'm glad that I have the chance to inform you, because when you're confronted with a choice, your teacher's not gonna be there with you, Judge Arnone's not gonna be there with you, your parents probably won't be there with you. It's just gonna be you standing up to peer pressure. And you need to be strong enough to do it, and you need the facts to give you courage to make the right decision. So thanks for being here. I'm gonna turn it back to Judge Ron Arnone.
Thanks, Senator. So next, we're going to have Jody Sharman come up. Jody is... Thanks. Jody is not only a good close friend of ours, but also she does a lot of work in the court system, and she has her own business. She's a professional in this industry of drug and alcohol awareness and education. She has been doing this for a long time, and a former teacher, I might add. And so please give Jody your full attention. She's going to present a slideshow and a video, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, boys and girls. My name is Jody, and a little background on me. I work for a company called Domestic Outreach Center, and one of the things that we do is have underage drinking classes. So for that, I am the program director, which means this: if you go to a party and you choose to stay where there is alcohol or drink, then you run the risk of getting arrested for an underage drinking charge, in which case there's a lot of consequences, but one of the consequences would be that you would have to take my class. So my background is education and psychology, and I've been teaching these classes for close to 10 years now. To date, I have counseled close to 6,000 kids. I have a little PowerPoint presentation for you, but what I want to do, instead of just giving you facts, I want to have some discussion with you about some of the things that we talk about in my class. The biggest thing is that kids sometimes, or I should say when parents call to schedule their kids for my class, they don't realize that their kid did something wrong. And then when they come to class, it's my job to teach them what they did exactly that landed them in trouble. And then I also try to give them information about how not to get in trouble in the future. So this is alcohol and the law. And you might have questions with this, and if you want to just hold your questions to the end, and maybe my two judges and senators can help me answer the legal questions of this. But if you were charged with underage drinking, it's called Section 6308 of the Pennsylvania Crime Codes. A person commits a summary offense if he or she being less than 21 years of age. So these are ways that you can get in trouble. Attempt to purchase. So if you walk into a beer store and you try to purchase alcohol legally, you can get arrested for underage drinking. A lot of times, kids try to produce a fake ID, and that can get you in even more trouble. The next one would be purchase, so if you actually buy it, and then consume. So raise your hand if you know what consume means. Excuse me for pointing. Okay, what's consume mean? To drink it. Raise your hand if you know how much you're allowed to drink before you're 21. With the glasses, go ahead. 0, very good. So not a sip, not a glass, not just one beer. And there's a lot of times I hear kids in court, quiet. There's a lot of times I hear kids in court saying, well, I just had one sip, or I just had one beer. You're not allowed to have any. The other one is possess. This is the one that gets a lot of kids. If you go to a party and there is alcohol, you can get arrested just the same if you weren't drinking as if you were drinking, and that falls under the law of possession. So unfortunately, it's not good enough to go to a party where kids are drinking and stay and not drink. I applaud you for not drinking, but if you walk in and you see that there is alcohol, you need to leave, because unfortunately you can get in trouble. And then the last one would be knowingly or intentionally transport. So how old do you have to be to transport alcohol or have alcohol in your car? Raise your hand if you know. 21, very good. Actually, You're smart. A lot of people in my class think you only have to be 18, but you have to be 21 to transport or have alcohol in your car. Now, if you're caught under this underage drinking law, there are lots of consequences and penalties that go along with it. It could be a fine. It could be having to take my class. It could be a criminal record. And then the one that most of the kids care about is the loss of your license. One of the biggest things that we talk about in my class are why people drink. And a lot of times people ask me, why do kids drink? With all the consequences out there, it seems like a no-brainer. Why would they still drink? And these are the top 3 reasons why kids tell me they drink. They tell me it's fun. They tell me it helps them to relax and to be more social. And they tell me that they think they should be allowed to drink. So let's talk about number 3 for a second, the fact that they think they should be allowed to drink. And this is an argument that we have in my class all the time. They think that once you're 18, since you can vote, since you can go to war, that you should be allowed to drink. And therefore, they drink because they think that this law doesn't pertain to them because they should be allowed. And I always give this analogy to them. There's sometimes when I'm driving in my car and the speed limit is 25, and I feel like I should be able to drive 35 or 45. But I know that if I drive my car that fast, I run the risk of getting pulled over and getting in trouble with the police. And that's the same thing with drinking. The underage drinking law is 21. So it really doesn't matter if you think that at 18 you should be allowed to drink. The legal drinking age is 21. If you drink before you're 21 or if you go to a party, you will get in trouble. And then the other 2, the first 2, it's fun, it helps them to become more social. What we do with that in my class is called a risk versus reward task analysis. And I have them get into groups and we write down all the risks and all the rewards that go along with underage drinking. And then we circle the biggest risk and we circle the biggest reward, and then we kind of weigh out the things that could happen. So even though these kids say that they might have fun at a party, the risk that goes along with that, as far as getting in trouble and being in trouble with the law and their parents and all the other consequences that go along with it, we come to find out that drinking is just not worth it. There's other consequences to underage drinking. There could be social problems, such as fighting and lack of participation in youth activities. If you are involved in a sport, I'll just say this. Whether it's a sport, whether it's an activity, whether it's a club, make sure you stay in that sport. And not just through high school, but through college and all the way through your adulthood. That's the thing that's going to keep you on the right path instead of leading you down the path of alcohol and drugs. There's legal problems such as arrests for drinking and driving or for driving or being at a party where there's alcohol. There's school problems such as missed school and failing grades. Sexual assault. I worry for my girls who, not my girls, I mean girls in general, who drink at a party and put themselves at risk. And then there's alcohol-related car crashes linked to driving under the influence. Abuse of other drugs. When you are at these parties, once you have a couple of drinks, you might feel more relaxed and therefore you're more apt to try other drugs. And then changes in brain development that could have lifelong effects. And then the last one would be death from alcohol poisoning. I do have a lot of kids in my class who end up having to get their stomach pumped because of the amount of alcohol that they've ingested. Okay, more about underage drinking. Alcohol is the most commonly and abused drug among teens in the United States. That's more than tobacco and drugs combined. Alcohol is responsible for more than 4,300 annual deaths among teens, and in 2015 there were approximately 190,000 emergency room visits by teens under the age of 21 for conditions linked to alcohol. Excuse me. I want to talk to you a little bit about binge drinking. This is kind of a hot buzzword lately. Raise your hand if you've heard binge drinking or the term. Okay, does anybody know what binge drinking means? Raise your hand if you think you know what it means. Way back there, go ahead. Really loud for me. Okay, I have 2 people answered and they were both correct. I like how you both answered at the same time. So it's when you're drinking a lot amount in a short period of time. It's actually 5 or more drinks in a row constitutes binge drinking. So they went and they did these studies of binge drinking, and they have come to find that people or kids who binge drink were 21 times more likely, not just 5, not 10, 21 times more likely than non-binge drinkers to have missed class, fallen behind in schoolwork, damaged property, been hurt or injured, got in trouble with the law, and then the one that bothers me the most is driving in a car after drinking. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about is alcohol and advertising. I know when you watch football games and now Penguin games and everything, you're going to see a lot of ads for alcohol. Alcohol advertisers spend more than $3 billion a year on advertising and promoting alcohol. And there is a whole science behind promoting alcohol and alcohol advertisements. They want drinking to look very fun, like everybody's doing it, like it's a good time. They want it to look very glamorous. They want you to believe that sports and alcohol go together. Companies also like you to believe that they promote moderation in drinking, when honestly they don't, because the more people drink, the more money they make. So it's really just a big money ploy. These are some examples of some ads that I use in my class, and I want you to kind of take notice while I show you these about how they're geared towards just fun and a good time. See people partying, hanging out on the beach. These are people tailgating. Notice that all of these ads are about people having a good time. None of them deal with a DUI car crash. None of them deal with somebody getting busted for underage drinking. None of them deal with somebody getting into a fight or somebody getting arrested or somebody getting in trouble with their parents, okay?
Thanks so much. So, my next speaker, guest, Gino Johnson, he is somebody that he was one of these people that you saw on the video, but he's here in real life, because I wanted you to be able to correlate that. And Gino's standing here today because of help from a lot of people. Unfortunately, for me, almost every day of my life, there's people that aren't standing among us because they're dead because of this drug, because of heroin. And there's so many ways and so many stories, but Gino's going to tell you his. But I want you to realize that I've been to a number of funeral homes, and people that have been before me who OD'd the next day, and I've had to consult and deal with their families. So I just want you to know it's a tough and terrible thing. And now I want you to hear it from somebody who's lived it and lived to tell about it, because his story, unfortunately, is far and few between. Gino?
Hi guys, my name is Gino Johnson, and I'm an addict. I hope you guys paid real close attention to Jody's speech, because I was in her class. Anyways, I'm a recent high school graduate. 2-3 years ago, I graduated from high school close by to this one. And like the people in the video. However, I grew up, got everything I wanted, grew up in a good family, 3-sport athlete in high school, and it started with the marijuana. You know what I mean? Like here and there, I dabbled in smoking weed after sports practice or football, you know what I mean, with some friends. And fortunately enough, you know, it didn't take over my life at that time when I was 16, 17. I completed high school, got good grades, and I went to Penn State. And along that time, when I got to Penn State, I got in a car accident. Bad car accident. I broke my femur bone, and I got a rod put in the middle of my leg. Had 5 surgeries, pain pills, lots of pain pills I was prescribed. And I took them as needed at first, you know, like as prescribed, once a day, whatever it was. And it escalated. And it escalated because they were that good, you know? And then I found myself dabbling in heroin. And growing up at your age, you know, 9th, 10th grade, I was like, I'm better than this, you know? Like, I was raised to know right from wrong. I come up in a good family. That's not me. I'm better than that. But it goes to show that this disease does not discriminate against anybody. And I wouldn't be standing here right now if it wasn't for the help of Judge Arnone. He took an interest in me. Eventually, our paths were, you know, inevitable to cross because I'm breaking the law and he's here to uphold the law. So our paths crossed, and that man has helped me through a lot. And I'm, you know, fortunate enough that he's able to bring me to speak to you guys and talk to you guys about my story, because there's a lot more to it. Last year, or a little over a year ago, year and a half ago, I wound up dead at my grandparents' house on my grandfather's birthday in his bathroom. And unlike a lot of people, they're not here to talk about it. I am. And that didn't stop me. You know what I mean? It didn't stop me. And I continued to use. And I continued to use, and I went to 4 rehabs, completed all of them, and today I can say I have over a year clean. And thank you. Huh? Okay. When I died, the ambulance came to my grandfather's house, and like I said, it was on his birthday, so my mom was there. My whole family was there, and it's a good, nice, big Italian family, you know what I mean? I really let them all down that day. But anyways, how I got brought back, ambulance showed up, 3 police cars showed up from my district, and I got hit with Narcan. It's an amazing drug. It can bring you back to life if it's not too late. They put it up my nose and gave me 2 hits, and I came back to life. But that day, like, because of my consequences and drug uses, got a needle charge, got a possession charge, and then I ran into Judge Arnone. And I don't know if you guys heard about Guy talking about how for drug addicts, instead of, you know, putting them in a jail cell, they want to send them off to rehab and get them help. Well, this man, instead of putting me in a jail cell, sent me off to rehab and got me help and kicked it off on the right foot for me. And because of that, you know, today I'm able to be here, talk to you guys, share my story with you, and fortunate enough to be alive as well. And that's all I got, really. Thank you.
So hopefully you've learned a lot today about drugs, drug use, and real people and real problems. There are some good stories out of this, but I don't want them to be one of yours. We're here because I want to be proactive and prevent, and that's why we're here today. That's why your school district felt it so important for us to come. And I applaud them, your teachers, your administrators, Chief Connors, so many here that care about you guys.